This is Ray Olmo, CEO of TRUST-CFO, and what we do is we're administrators for some of the finest attorneys, frankly, in the nation, but I'll just say California. And one of our power partners is Josh Meier of Meier Law. And our goal here today is just to have open discussion. We got this weird little anomaly called a pandemic, and it's kind of thrown a wrench into things. And at the end of the day, you know what? We just want to have an open discussion about it. You know, how's this impacting things? What's this doing? How's this changing planning in general and all that stuff? And so Josh and I talk almost daily, right, Josh?
Oh yeah, we're in regular conversation, just seeing what's going on, talking about, what's going on in our lives, what's going on in clients' lives, and how can we, be on the forefront to help, avoid some problems, down the road.
Yeah. So again, let me formally introduce Josh Meier, Meier Law Firm. His beautiful wife, Laura, is also an attorney and partner, and they do some great things. They do like special needs trust and some very unique stuff. At any rate, again, the goal here is not to really kind of promote ourselves or talk about strategies or whatever. It's just kind of have an open forum about what the hell's going on in this economy right now, because it's actually a little goofy, right? So
yeah,
Josh,
no. Okay.
No, just go ahead. The goal here is just to have open conversation, help empower our clients, which are massive. I mean, I'd probably guess couple thousand between us, and make sure that they know what tools they have and just, what they can expect, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I think it'd be helpful just looking at where things are at right now and kind of where we're foreseeing things happen in the future, because we have so much going on with COVID. So we're seeing kind of some of the immediate impacts that it's having on people's lives. And the reality is it looks like, this may come back. And so if we don't learn from what's going on right now and be prepared, there's a good chance we're going to get bitten now and get bitten in the future. And so I think there's some really good things that we can do to kind of just learn from what is happening kind of in the economy, what's happening with courts, what's happening in hospitals and nursing homes. There's so many different things that are happening, and there's opportunities to avoid getting bitten again.
Yeah, so again, my perception is we have a major domino effect that people aren't understanding. And it's not the first domino that hits them, it's the last domino. So we're going to have a whiplash of what I'm seeing right now, Josh, between you and I, is clients finally going, you know what, I'm a little scared. The house of cards is falling, and I want to start doing some pre-planning, or, you know what, I just got handed a lawsuit and I need to execute. We're going to see a mass, flow of, how it is. When everybody's making money, everybody's like, well, nah, I might have been wronged, but you know what? I can live with it. But all of a sudden, when I'm starving and I'm panicked and I don't have funds, it's, you know what? That's the other guy's fault. And so at the end of the day, again, you as an attorney experiencing this stuff, what do you see right now?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's the thing. When people get desperate, they do things that they may not do in good, happy times. I've heard from several clients, some of the extreme measures people are taking to just get money. One of them was, I heard one of the scams that's been around for a long time, but really people are doing, is they're retitling properties into their name, and then they are taking out loans on these properties, and people are getting hit, and there's this lien on their property, and like, what the heck is going on? And that's something, in good, happy times, you just don't see that as common. That's not a concern. But I've probably had 5 or 6 clients who have called me asking, okay, should I be getting now some sort of title insurance or title lock or something like that? Something that I haven't heard anything about in, 10 years since we had the previous, market crash.
Right.
And all that going on.
06 through 09 debacle. Right. Yeah. And I agree with you violently. Our business was forged actually in that venue. We've been doing what we've been doing since 01, 02, and all of a sudden the 06 to 09 crash just absolutely exploded our business. And so you likewise are experiencing that right now. And this is the forefront. That's my opinion.
Right. This is just happening. And I think too, some of the things to consider is that why some of those, dominoes haven't fallen is that the courts are closed right now. And so, filing lawsuits and doing things right now aren't as easy to do. Once the courts reopen, then that's where those opportunities and people are going to say, okay, stuff is open again and I'm desperate. I haven't been working in months. I haven't been getting my rent checks in. I haven't been getting stuff. I'm starving and it's somebody else's fault. And so they're going to start pointing fingers.
Yeah. By the way, you and I need to talk about something. So one of the things you and I were talking about previously is, yes, the courts are delayed, but that does not prohibit that somebody files a lawsuit, and the second that lawsuit is filed, now there's a trigger point. So even though they might not go through 2 years of litigation, the fact that they were sued in, May 15th, 2020, they were handed litigation, their assets are frozen, and if they move those assets, they could be fraudulent conveyance. It doesn't matter when the court happens, right?
Right. No, exactly. It's once they know about this issue, they can't start moving things around. And so there's both California laws and federal laws that prohibit these types of transfers. So there's a double whammy. So even if you move to a different state, you're still going to be covered under federal laws.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't know that we're here specifically to talk about, this just crazy times. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to share more about what Meier Law Firm is about, because we've had the great pleasure of getting to know you and Laura and the team. And you guys are just phenomenal. You're awesome down in Newport Beach, and you've been great, clients of ours. Hopefully you feel the same. And so again, why don't you tell us a little bit about your firm and what your goal is there for Orange County?
Yeah, so Laura and I, we have the firm, and primarily what we try to do is help people set things up in advance to make sure, if anything unexpected happens like this pandemic, that they're really prepared. And so making sure that their kids will be taken care of by who they want in the way they want, make sure that their resources and assets would go to who they want on the terms they want without having to go to court, making sure we can be tax efficient, making sure that their medical wishes are, taken care of by who they want in the way they want, just really giving people that security and peace of mind, in advance, because so often, the saddest stories that we hear are when something, tragic happens or unexpected happens, and they come to us and we just don't have as many options. It's really just too late. When the lawsuit hits or when the medical crisis hits, you just don't have as many options. And so what we really try to do is, like you were talking about before, Ray, is like we try to help people plan in advance and do pre-planning, if you will, because when you do that, you just have more options. And so when you have options, you can maneuver, you can do things, kind of in a rational mode and not being reactive. Because when you're reactive or you're waiting till the crisis hits, you're just limited on what you can do, and you often end up stuck with a choice that you really wouldn't prefer.
Well, as your administrator, the thing that happens is people hit the panic button and they try to do something, and now they've invoked a whole different dimension. It starts invoking fraud, and
right.
We won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. And so again, the word I heard with you is pre-planning. I love that word, and so we need to stick to that word. And you guys also are very good at special needs. I've come to know you and Laura. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's a really niche area of the law, and it's just the reality is that nowadays, just with medical research and understanding, we're able to identify so many individuals now that have developmental delays or disabilities that are going to carry on throughout their lifetime, but there's opportunities to, with proper planning, to provide them independence and a great quality of life. And unfortunately, though, if there isn't kind of that proper planning in place, again, we limit their options, and they're stuck with living arrangements or quality of care that isn't as good as that their loved ones and family members would want for them. Because the reality is nowadays, so often, these individuals are now just living longer than they used to. And so there's a lot longer term planning that we need to prepare for. And so by doing so, we can really, in advance, kind of paint the picture for what we want their life to look like, and then put those pieces into place right now.
Yeah. Now, on a personal note, my dad passed away 2 years ago. He had cancer, and ironically, I'm almost, and he was, by the way, he told me, it's like, thank God I'm just going in 6 months, because it could have been a horror show of years and years and years of, maintenance and long-term care and all that stuff. And so, again, it's kind of ironic. I wish I had him, but at the same time, he was hurting pretty bad. So, but some people don't have that luxury. Luckily, knock on wood, my mom is 81 and she's going to live to 100. And, but you have to concern yourself with that stuff, man. It's real serious stuff. You got to understand what the long-term disability or long-term care benefits are going to be. And I really respect your firm for really understanding that dimension, because it's kind of exclusive. It's not privy to a lot of the attorneys out there in the market.
Yeah, because I mean, on that end of the spectrum, as our family members are aging and stuff, we want them to be able to age with dignity. We want them to have the quality of life that they want. Sure. And a lot of times, they've worked so hard throughout their lifetime to plan and be prepared and have the right resources. And just the unfortunate reality is that, people are living longer. And so I don't want to say unfortunate, that's a great reality that people are living longer, but now a lot of times they're outliving their resources. And so when they
Josh,
do that,
Josh, I'm screwed. I'm going to live to 125, just so you know.
There you go. Yeah. And so, all of these projections and analysis, back in like the 1950s, it said people are going to live until they're 60. Now we have these, 100-year-olds, and it's like, well, what do? They didn't plan to live to 100. And so, they outlive their resources. And so the reality is, though, that there are a lot of potential benefits that are out there, especially for our veterans. There are so many benefits that so many of them just have no clue about. So if they were injured during, any sort of combat or military event, they can get, veterans disability benefits to give them a monthly stipend. If they need help with activities of daily living, so, cooking, cleaning, getting dressed, all of those types of things, they can get a monthly stipend, the VA aid and attendance benefit, to just help with their quality of life. So they have kind of the proper care that they need. They're not having to be stuck in, a facility or in a home without all of the proper resources.
And so I have to chime in, because one of the things I discovered in dealing with some of my clients is, they think they're wealthy, okay, but they think, oh, well, no, that's just going to be a sliver. Well, that's not how they value or monetize and configure what your cost is. They look at your asset net worth and they start gearing. And so the benchmark accelerates quite quickly what that cost is going to be, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Well, I mean, we have many clients who are very wealthy. I mean, we're in Newport Beach and they're extremely wealthy. They have great wealth. But if you're having to dole out, $12,000 to $15,000 a month in nursing home costs, that depletes things really quickly. And really who gets hit the hardest is the well spouse, because they will spend, I don't know about you guys, but I would spend every dime I had to take care of my wife if something was going on, to make sure she was taken care of. And that's what oftentimes happens. You spend every single dime you have to make sure they get the treatment, they get the care, they have the quality of life. But then the well spouse is now left without any resources. And so there's some really good planning opportunities where we can make sure, either through insurance or through government benefits, that their dollars can last longer. So that, the spouse that's sick can get the quality of care that they need without having to deplete all of the resources for the well spouse. So both of them get the quality of life that they need.
Yeah, and here's the trap door. When we're talking about the small business owner, the problem is, what they do is they keep reinvesting back into their business. And so they take a little stipend. I just had one the other day that was $300,000 in income. The guy's worth $30 million. oh, I'm only taking X, and he's reinvesting it back in his business. And the problem is, what happens is that they all of a sudden get hammered with this overload of cost, and it might be multiple, it might be both mother and father that so you're talking about 30,000 a month.
Right.
And that starts to infuse and rip through their compensation grid, and then now they're forced to distribute. Now it creates a tax, and so again, domino, 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 right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's really who oftentimes gets hit just as hard is going to be the kids, because they need to take care of mom and dad. And so if mom and dad don't have to have the resources, they want to make sure that they're taken care of. And so now you're dipping into your own retirement, you're dipping into your own savings, and it just changes your projection. Or you're having to provide the care yourself personally. And so you don't have the opportunity to continue to work and grow your business and plan and save for yourself or have that quality time with your family. You end up, taking all of your resources, not only financially, but your time, emotional, physical. I mean, it's just so draining and wearing. I forget what the exact stat is, but it's something it was staggering when I was looking at it recently, where so often it's the caregivers who actually pass away before the person who's actually sick or who has the injury. It's something like, it's like 50 or 60% more likely for the caregiver to pass away, just because it's so physically and emotionally draining, where they don't get to sleep. They're not able to physically take care of themselves the way that they could. And so the good thing is, though, by doing proper planning, by setting things up in advance, or even if you're in the crisis, there still are opportunities that you have to make things a lot easier, where you can get in outside help, where you can bring in caregivers to provide, respite and relief for you as a child or as a family member who's trying to care for a loved one.
So my conclusion here is that it's all about stress relief. Where we're at right now, everybody's stressed out, and that's just to get outside. I ride my bike to work now just to get outside. It's just nuts. So again, adding on top of that, just, and I hate the COVID word. I really do. But, the reality is that we've lost, one of our best friends lost their parent, to the COVID thing, the coronavirus. And so it's real, and, but at the same time, you don't want to stress out on this stuff. So the idea is, what I'm seeing is people are buckling down. They're getting serious about their planning. They finally realize that, what, maybe I shouldn't procrastinate, all that good stuff. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. What I do want to talk about is that, Josh, you and I have become fast friends. By the way, I'm flying down here in June. We're going to see each other, hang out, all that cool stuff.
Perfect.
I miss you.
Hopefully things are open.
Well, they are. I got a flight in Southwest round trip ticket for $107.
Okay, there you go.
That's the plus of this whole ordeal.
I was going to say, yeah, you probably get the whole half of the plane to yourself too.
Probably, when I cough.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I'm joking. So listen, you and Laura and the kids, how you guys doing? I know you're doing homeschooling and you're going nuts. So
yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest challenges. Work's kind of the easy part. It's having, we have 4 kids, and we have a sophomore in high school, a 5th grader, a 3rd grader, and a 2nd grader. So I think at the end of this, I'm going to have 4 different teaching credentials. Right on. No, but I'm failing at all of them. So the struggle's real. But it's just interesting, you have all of this going on. And one of the things, I don't even know if I had mentioned, I know I mentioned to you, in all of this craziness, our son had to have emergency eye surgery. He had a detached retina. And so this is something where it really came real to me, kind of what's going on. When he had to go get his surgery, they wouldn't let me even in to go be with him. So only my wife could go in. And we were at the surgery center, and it was on the 3rd floor of this massive surgery center. And the only people who were there were my son, my wife, and the staff, the doctors and the staff. There was nobody else there. I mean, they're completely shutting things down. And they were just saying, so many people who have, so-called elective surgeries aren't even getting those done. And I mean, these are the elective ones are cancer treatment and things like that. And it's like, holy smokes, this is real. And it's having a major impact.
Well, you're in Newport Beach, so the answer is it's like 75% is like plastic surgery.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're cutting off those. So that stuff I'm okay with. But then too, I mean, we've had just so many clients where the biggest challenge that they're running into right now is they can't be with their loved ones. And so if they're in the hospital, if they're in a nursing home, if they're even in just, an assisted living facility, they're not even able to visit them or spend time with them. And then if they need help and care, they're not able to communicate with the doctors the way that they normally would to, make sure procedures are going in. And so that's where, right now, one of the biggest things we're making sure everybody that we know has is having their medical directives, having their powers of attorney, so they can actually be there to talk to the doctors and get information on their loved ones, because they're not able to just stand bedside with them right now and just be there.
I updated mine, and I review my trust every year, all my trusts, all integrated. And the number one thing I got nervous about was that I'm going to end up in a hospital and then I can't see my loved ones and then I won't make it. And that freaks me out. So again, I got real serious about updating my stuff, making sure everybody's taken care of. And you know what? Ironically, I'm in the business. I mean, I do this stuff every year, and I really actually quite tweaked my own will trust, private retirement trusts and qualified plans and all that stuff. And I actually kind of found there's a major difference, and I'm in the business. So then the day, I just highly advocate that people just review their stuff and they make sure that they can sleep well at night. Josh, you there?
Well, yeah. And I mean, what's making this issue, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now? It was just slowing down. Yeah. I mean, what's making this issue even bigger right now is what we kind of mentioned earlier about the courts being closed. It used to be, at least if there wasn't planning in place or things were out of date, we could run into court and get things fixed. Right now, though, with the courts being closed, we don't even have that opportunity to just run in and have a judge help us out and fix things. And so now you're really stuck. So if you don't have your planning in place, we don't even have that backup option of going to court so often now. And so this is an opportunity where we can, again, learn from what's going on. The courts, they're supposed to reopen, but there's a good chance, if this comes back in a big wave, that they're going to get closed again in the fall, or maybe, down the road, or there's something else that goes on where courts gets closed. You need to have your planning in place now in advance. That pre-planning word that we used, and I don't even like to call it pre-planning, just planning. You need to have your stuff in place.
Well, let me re-edify, kind of wrapping the bow around the present right here. The hang up will be, if you don't have your planning in order, what you're going to end up with in court is two segments. Number one, if you're alive and you get sued, your assets are now locked up. They're frozen. And you got to understand that, okay? There's been a lien and seizure attack and you can't move anything. It's fraud. So what if the courts don't move for 12, 24 months, 36 months based on this nightmare, and you're stuck and you can't move assets? That is a big problem. Probably worse, but is estate planning, probate. God help you. You might be into 5 years. I mean, Josh, you and I know this. I mean, we deal with 2-3 years right now with people that haven't done their planning, and they're locked. Their estate is locked up. Well, there can be some major erosion if you're not paying attention. Okay. You can burn up assets and sit there, and there's claims and liens and things like that on your assets until such time as it gets resolved. And listen, I lived it. If anybody sees my video of when I talked about my family and how I got into this business, it's a freaking nightmare. It took me 10 years to deal with it for no planning. So at any rate, the long and the short of it is, what you and I are about is being proactive, keeping on top of our clients. I love working with the Meier Law Firm. You guys are just awesome. You're proactive. Okay. So at any rate, it's been a pleasure. Do you have any final thoughts? Any insights?
No, I mean, to give you some love as well. I mean, I can't say enough about, my ability to have the opportunity to work with you, Ray, is that you help identify so many issues for clients. I mean, one of the great things that you're really good at doing is not only looking at the issue that's right in front of the client that they need to deal with, but spotting kind of the other holes and vulnerabilities and weaknesses that they have in their overall plan, so that, some of these other things that are kind of just looming and waiting to kind of hurt them, you're able to identify them and shore things up right away. And whether that's with how their business is structured, with how, their insurances, their retirements, their brokerage accounts, you look at the whole picture. And so, oftentimes, when we're coming to you with a client, it's because they have, concern one, but you're also not only helping identify and fix that, but you're looking at concern 2, 3, 4, and 5 that they don't even know exists. And so that's what's really been great about working with you, is collaborating to help identify and shore up, kind of the overall estate and the overall, plan of our clients.
Well, again, I appreciate that. Unfortunately, it's due to being thrown into the gauntlet and having to deal with it personally. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. If anybody knew my story, it would put chills in your spine. So the good news is I took all the horror show and I use it now for good, not evil. And
right.
I support guys like you and our other power partners that I've introduced you to, Verdon, Cunningham, all these other guys, in your neck of the woods and other, and we're kind of a club now. I consider us a boys club. You're the younger bucks, so you're going to inherit all this stuff.
That's good. Right? That's good. Well, yeah. And that's the great thing too that I love about all of this, is that how collaborative everybody is. It's something where you could so easily say, okay, well, you're a competitor, or you're, there's only so many fish in the sea. And I mean, I think what's nice about so many people who are in this space is they understand, look, we just need to be able to help people. And there's so many different ways that you can do that. And collectively, working as a team, each of us has our own resources and specialties and experiences that we can use to really help identify issues, help clients out, and really put a good plan in place.
Yeah. Well, listen, the whole gang says hi. Best to you and Laura and the kiddies, and good luck on the education front.
Yeah. I heard now that they're talking about.
I know you can't add 2 and 2, so the kids are in trouble.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, well, nowadays 2 + 2 isn't 4 anymore. It's like you have to do long division just to get 2 + 2. You're drawing boxes and circles, and it's a whole new math.
Don't even start there. I was lucky to get my kids out way before the change in the math and stuff. Yeah. Josh, love you, buddy. Thank you so much. I'm glad that we were able to have a personal conversation. I wanted other people to understand and know you and your firm, and just get value out there. So let's keep attacking it. And I'll talk to you. Have a great weekend. Love you. Bye.
All right. You too. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thanks,
man.
Bye.